During the recently concluded 39th AU Africa Union Summit held in Ethiopia, President Julius Maada Bio made a big pronouncement that Sierra Leone will embark on a 300-day activism for women and children starting from the 1st of March this year. Now, the 300-day activism will focus on achieving 3 key goals. They say 0 preventable maternal deaths, 0 preventable child death, and 0 dose children. The Ministry of Health is now embracing the President's pronouncement and embarking on the national rollout of this plan. This morning we're joined by Dr. Mustafa Kabar, who is a Deputy Chief Medical Officer in charge of the clinical services at the Ministry of Health. Good morning and welcome, Doctor.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Also this morning, flanked by Doctor, we have Chief of Air Staff, as I announced earlier, and Defense Spokesperson, Air Commodore Hassan Sei Coomber. Now he is here to give us a general update about the controversies, if you like, between Sierra Leone and Guinea and the sale of the Juba military barracks, among many other things we'll be discussing this morning. Good morning, gentlemen. It's a pleasure.
Good morning, AOV. Good morning, listeners and viewers. Thanks
Indeed.
for having me.
It's a pleasure. Let me start with you, Doctor. Give us a background, if you like. Now, I understand that the President has made this announcement at the AU summit, but what does it entail, really?
Well, good morning again. Thanks for having me here. And like you clearly mentioned, at the 39th African Union Summit, the President made a pronouncement that he's going to do everything possible within his reach to ensure that all preventable maternal deaths are eliminated, preventable child deaths are eliminated, and we don't have any children in this country who are born unvaccinated. So it's a big proclamation, it's a big pronouncement by His Excellency the President. So it's a presidential national level statement meant to have a strong delivery push to eliminate all of these 3 issues which I've mentioned. But you might ask me, why now? Why is it that the President is making this kind of proclamation? If you look over the past 10 decades, Sierra Leone has really registered a rapid drop in maternal mortality. We have registered about 70% reduction in maternal mortality due to strong leadership, governance, and support in the health sector that we've seen giving us this result. But however, the figures are still not to the point where we can rest and say we are comfortable. So as a country, we still see people dying. We still see mothers going and having birth, and there are issues, children dying. So we really want to drop it down to figures that are almost negligible, that we cannot even consider them as a problem anymore. So for you to do that, you need to have a national effort wherein it's not only the Ministry of Health, it's the whole nation taking this campaign, from the communities to the stakeholders, to the other government agencies that are responsible to work with us to ensure that we have this decline and make sure that we have this initiative properly implemented.
How will this be rolled out? Is it the entire country, including the provinces?
Definitely, it's going to be a national effort. Means that everywhere where we have health facilities, every woman in this country who's pregnant has to be considered. So it's a national effort, and it will be a district level-led approach. That the operations are not going to be conducted at the national level alone, but it will be led by the district medical teams. It will be led by the local governments, the local councils, and the stakeholders, and the communities in which these pregnancies occur should own it. I must also remind you that pregnancies occur in the communities. And most of the time, these women who are pregnant are within these communities. The interface with us in the health sector is not as much as the interface with the community. So if the community owns this, definitely will make a big gain in reducing preventable maternal deaths.
Just so we understand correctly, what will they be benefiting from exactly? In practical terms, I mean, if you go to the hospital, what will happen?
Well, in the hospital, we want to ensure that we are ready.
Okay.
We are prepared for all obstetric emergencies.
Okay.
and children who come who are, who are sick. We should be ready to manage them. That's the broader picture. But before they come to the hospitals, there are a lot of things that happen downstream. How fast do they get to us? Do they come to us at a point where there is anything we can do? So this is why I think there's a strong linkage between ensuring that the communities and the hospitals and the local systems work together, so that if a mother has a child that's ill, you don't start giving that child medication at home until the point the child is unconscious and you bring them to the hospital, right? If a woman is pregnant, you don't wait and skip your antenatal clinic service dates. You go when you're supposed to be there so that you are checked in first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester to make sure that the pregnancy is intact, the baby is alive, you don't have any illnesses, no infections. If we see that there are infections or problems with you, we can take you to the right place and have you deliver in a hospital that has the right requirements and specialists to manage you. So in the whole, this is the kind of relationship we are trying to create and make sure that we are ready when these people come to us in our health facilities.
A follow-up on that would be, do you think we have the resources at the moment to pilot this kind of campaign?
Well, it's a huge initiative. So we are talking to our partners, our friends, and the government of Sierra Leone has made its commitment to it. So I think we'll have the resources. Sometimes it's not only about the resources. It's about really organizing ourselves better and look at, how do we minimize leakages? How do we streamline and align our operations? We reduce duplications and have good governance of our health systems.
Is there a budget to this?
We are looking at
specifically just roughly.
No, we don't. We cannot put a budget to this because if we put a budget to it, it becomes like, you're having a ceiling, right? This can go anywhere because there's a lot that comes in. Because I must mind you that maternal mortality figures we usually quote is an indication of the health system strength. When a woman goes to a hospital and dies, there are so many things that can go wrong. It can be that the infrastructure is not ready. It can be that the human resource is not there or not skilled or not motivated. It can be that you don't have the equipment. It can be that the supplies are not there. It can be that the referral was done late. So you see, all of that has to be addressed. And by addressing that, we are bringing the entire health system up to speed to ensure that not only maternal care is taken care of, but any other issue that comes around in the hospitals and our health facilities are managed by just focusing on maternal mortality.
Let me bring in Commodore Coomber to the discussion. Good morning, Coomber. Welcome. I understand that at the moment, you're going through some serious pressure given, what has happened actually. Well, help us understand. I know there have been a lot of articles, people are talking on Facebook, on media, people are speculating, but what truly happened? Was it a fault of ours in any way?
You mean the Kalahari-Falabais incident?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for me to make a clarification on this. This is an incident that occurred as a result of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces or the national security architecture. We were trying to position ourselves so that we can be able to see what is happening around our borders. This time around that Kalahari area. So we have personnel deployed in Kalahari that taught it that where they are, if they want to know what is happening, if they want to be properly able to patrol our borders, they have to make an outpost. They have to go further a little bit. So in an attempt to move further a little bit, they hoisted our national flag, which shows that this is our territory. And then they were trying to construct accommodation so where they could have shade or where they could overnight. So as a result of this, the Guineans saw this and thought that we have gone into their territory and then took that military action.
Was this truly ours or theirs, their territory?
So as a national security architecture, we work with the locals. We have national security architecture. We have district provincial security outfit. Then we have chiefdom security outfit. Within this chiefdom security outfit, it was discussed that that place is ours. Because mind you, these people are natives of those places. Their great-grandfathers, their fathers were born in those areas. They have been farming and doing all sorts of activities in those areas. So what they told us, or the information they gave us, was that the place belonged to us, and hence the need for us to set up that outpost. So it's a matter of now finding. That's why we sent out the find the mission, even though we have some problem with that. But it's a matter of clarifying who are the correct owners of that place, whether it's Sierra Leone or Guinea. But we have the assumption that it's ours.
Okay, so as it stands, you only did rely on what the locals had to say, that okay, this area belongs to Sierra Leone, and it's based on that you actually hoisted, or our soldiers actually hoisted our flag. Is that the only thing?
No, it was not. We have so many things. We have maps.
Okay.
We have maps, charts. There are so many documents we
So
referenced.
from the maps, is it ours or theirs?
So initial indications are showing they are ours. But what I want to point out at this time is, you know, those maps or those boundaries were defined in the early 1900s. So many things have happened through natural rains, dries. These things, some of these reference points, they have been changing. Some of them, not all. So the idea of having controversy over them could exist as a result of the long time when these boundaries were indicated, and over many decades now, we have documents showing what it is.
So apparently, it's known that about 16 of our soldiers were arrested and detained. Have they been released?
They have not been, but efforts are being made to have them released.
So what is the government's official position regarding this seeming tension that we're having along our borderlines? Because this is not the first time we're having such an incident. If we can go back to this Yenga issue, has it been resolved?
You mean the Yenga? Okay, the Yenga has not been resolved. And in addition, like you have said, yes, we have had several infractions. But the government position you asked about, over successive governments from days of blessed memory, Dr. Ahmad Tijan Kaba, to former President Anes Kuruma, even now to our current president, the position has been the same, to say we use diplomatic options to resolve these issues rather than using defense or security or military options. Because lessons learned from other countries, take for example the Nigeria-Cameroon situation, the Bakassi Peninsula, they had to fight for many years. They had to lose lives and properties, and we have learned from that. Currently, you see what is going on between Russia and Ukraine. If you choose fighting, you lose so many. Now we had the doctor saying they are trying to look at other areas. So our priority is we look across the spectrum of government. If we fight, what will we stand to lose? So there are so many things, and that is why the position of the government has remained the same, that we use diplomatic options to resolve issues like this. And it has been working. It could be slow because there are processes and procedures, there are hierarchies, there are bureaucracies, but all we will ask the people of Sierra Leone at this time, especially those who have concern, that strategic patience will help us. Let's continue to be resilient. This matter will be resolved. And the good thing is, we want it to be resolved so that it can be a foundation to resolve other land disputes.
At the moment, are there any discussions for short-term or long-term plans to ensure that such incidences don't continue to occur?
Yes, of course. In fact, I will, at this juncture, talk to our listeners, viewers, that as Sierra Leone as well as Guinea, we do have border management systems. Our system, our own border management team committee, we had an opportunity to go to Guinea a year ago, where we discussed about forming a technical team that will comprise the Guineans and the Sierra Leoneans. This team was supposed to look out the current issues, the maps that we have, the charts that we have, so fact-find what are the current situations, and then provide solutions that will help us resolve all the border disputes. So yes, there are systems in place, and we want to use those systems to resolve these issues.
From the look of things, it appears Sierra Leone is coming from the conciliatory point, whereas the Guinean faction, they're coming in with force and aggression. What do you meet?
So I'm sure we will meet at the diplomatic arena. Why I say this, currently you will see their own press release their chief of defense staff or the defense is taking lead in this. Whilst from our own front, we are taking a whole government approach. I think by the time they realize that what I see now, this issue cannot be resolved at defense level. So it will escalate beyond, it will go beyond, not escalate.
Why can't it be resolved at defense level?
Because we are approaching this matter from a national diplomatic front, so they have to come to that level.
What if they choose not to?
They will, because we have instruments, we have so many things we can do. We can bring in arbitrators, we can go to court. There are so many things they know we can do, and that will create some embarrassment for them.
Coomber, isn't it true that, I mean, defense-wise we are weak, perhaps that's why we are, I'm not saying we should go to war, but let's look at internal dynamics. What's our strength?
I think in some quarters we are stronger.
You think so?
Why we are stronger? Yes, we are more professional. Because you have to do your estimate. You have to do analysis. You have to assess, why do you want to choose to go to war? We have learned from our 10 years war, where we have people whose arms were maimed, and today they are finding it difficult to survive. We have other issues, education, health, to deal with. Do we want to go back to that war? No. For some of us who fought that war, we know what we went through. We know the challenges that we had. We know how it affected our economy and our way of life. So that means we have come on top of that, and now we are using those references to plan for future. We have seen that there is no way we can choose to go to fight over disputes. It is better fight as in war, but it's better we fight through diplomatic means, using our courts, using our diplomats, using our foreign affairs minister, using our ambassadors, using our defense attaches, and all these structures that I have talked about.
Wouldn't you agree with me, Commodore, that perhaps, you know, all over the world, a lot of countries are now fighting for supremacy at a time when, you know, it's now becoming post-colonialism. You know, a lot of countries are fighting for, you know, super world power. We aren't in the picture really, but excluding Guinea, you know, let's say, how do we get ourselves more sophisticated as an army? Don't we need more resources? I've been talking about aircrafts, you know, artilleries, what do they call it?
Yeah, say assets, equipment and assets you use.
We don't have any, do we?
I get it.
We don't have any. Do we have any flights?
My response to that will be like this. Currently, the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, we are transforming. Recently, that was on the 18th of this month, His Excellency, which our Commander-in-Chief, launched what we call the National Defense Policy and Strategy. This document has laid a roadmap for us to go to where you're talking about. And we have, it's a strategy that has a vision, which is the end, where we want to be. It has the means, it has the ways how we want to do that. That means the policies that we'll put in place, and then the resources that we'll have to achieve that. It's like any other strategy. So we have short, medium, and long terms. We have identified what we require, human resource, very important, the equipment and assets you're talking about, those ones. But how do we do those things? We also have established an outfit that we call the Defense Enterprise Service. This Defense Enterprise Service is going to be an investment wing of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces. We established it because we have learned from other armed forces, especially in the East Africa. If you go to East Africa, you see those areas are stable, they are peaceful. They have armed forces that are properly constituted, properly resourced, trained, and now they are delivering. So we have learned from them. We went to Tanzania, we went to Uganda, but to cut long short, today we have this defense policy and strategy that is carefully taught, the first of Sierra Leone kind. Last policy of such we had was developed in 2004, which is the Defense White Paper. So we are aware of what is happening. We know the threats that are looming. So now, what you are saying in terms of resourcing the RSLA, we are on track. The means that we will use, we are looking at this defense enterprise scheme, whereby we have looked at the private sector. The private sector, they have money. They have expertise to turn over money. So we are going to engage them to do so many things in terms of having private partnerships where we'll have joint venture agreements and do business. We are looking at agriculture. We feed ourselves. We want to contribute into the Feed Salone program. We want to have our garments, our uniform. We want to be showing, making our own uniforms so that we spend less. We also looking at our health sector to support the government agenda on health. We have the 34 military hospital that used to be 100 beds. Today we have raised it to 600 beds. We are asking them as well. We are working with them. We are bringing expertise from overseas. We've gone to Egypt to bring expertise. We know today people leave Sierra Leone and go to Ghana, go to India, go to so many places. We have learned from them. There are so many data they have that have helped us. And now we are formulating, helping in public sector. So you see, these 600 beds will try to have all illnesses or the diagnostic that are going overseas. We have them in country to complement them.
I know after the war, I mean, the military was largely decommissioned. Most of the resources was diverted into some other, sectors in the country. Are you saying with this new strategy that you will start receiving funds again to do your activities and to buy equipment?
Absolutely. Because after the war, as you have rightly said, our armed forces, we had aircraft. I was flying by then. I used to fly an aircraft. So successive governments, or at that time the advices that were given, some of them are to right-size the armed forces. Some will say downsize, right-size, whichever adjective you use. But in this context, what happened was funding was cut, was reduced. And as a result, we could not maintain those assets. But now that we are going back to that tri-service structure that we used to have, it means we will acquire those assets that are required to protect the territorial integrity of Sierra Leone.
Just for people to understand, what does tri-service mean?
Tri-service is something like, we have looked, if you look around, militaries around, it's having three services: Army, Navy, and Air Force. The Army, normally, they are the ones they are the land forces. The Navy, they are the maritime sea forces. The air forces. So we operate from the air and we protect infrastructure that contribute to air operations, airports and the likes.
Colonel Coomber, you made mention of a policy that has been launched or strategy or something, but some 10 years ago there was another defense white paper review. I attended as a very young girl by then, and 10 years on, we're still talking about strategies and policies. What's different from this one?
And that one. Okay, so strategies and policies, as our listeners and viewers will know, these are evolving documents. The trend in the current situation will determine how you roll out your policies and strategies, right? So 10 years ago, the security requirements at that time, the situation at that time is different from now. Like I said, the situation at that time, there was a need for us to downsize the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces and build the capacity of other ministries, departments, and agencies. At that time, if you recall, the government of Sierra Leone, they were establishing a lot of these institutions that we have now. We never had some institutions like NPPA. There are so many institutions, many of them. We never had them. And there were needs for the establishment of those institutions. And as a whole government approach, you have to cut from some areas and then build the capacity. So the 2004 Defense White Paper you are talking about was a policy at that time to address the situation at that time. At that time, the policy advised us on how we can support, for example...
No, actually, I'm talking about 2014, not 2004. There was a Defense White Paper review.
No, the Defense White Paper came out in 2004.
There was a review that I attended.
Yeah, okay. So like I'm saying, review normally is done to meet the situation at that time. The 2014 review, we were actually looking at coming again from the national security architecture, looking at how we will support government. Then we brought in, we defined military aid to civil power, military aid to civil authority, and those instruments clarified how we could support government agenda.
Okay, and back to you, Doctor. So this activism, 300 days,
yes.
What do you hope to achieve? And I'm sure you're aware that in the provinces, well, not just in the provinces, even in Freetown, in the heart of the capital city, we have ambulance shortages. And if we must achieve some of these goals that these 300 days of activism seek to achieve, we need that. What is going to happen during these 300 days to ensure that we sort this issue out? Because it's one of the biggest problems when it comes to maternal mortality and the like.
Yes, thank you very much. The overall achievements, the overall objectives I've already laid out, but there are specific things that will be done as activities. Looking at, I just mentioned hospital readiness, right? The hospital has to have the right equipment, the supplies have to be there, and the trained and qualified staff to be there on time when these emergencies come to handle them, right? But before they get there, you need to have a safe medical transport. You're right. The referral system is very key. That's why over the last 1 year, you've seen a lot of improvement in our referral systems, the National Emergency Medical Services. Before this time, referrals, the data that we are getting, we had about 300 referrals done, per month, but now we're having close to 1,000. So this is a huge improvement. This is due to the fact that we have now a responsive system to take up the calls, and the emergencies are responded to on a very good time. The response time has really improved, and the fleet of ambulances we have really been improved. They have maintenance, they have fuel, and people don't have to pay for fuel for it. So there's an improvement in that space, but however, it's not enough. So this 300 days activism is looking at how do you enhance that to bring it to the level where we're expecting it to be. So things like having a proper digital system to coordinate the referrals, first of all. If I take my phone, I call the call center, the people there should respond, and the hospitals where this patient should go to should be alerted that we are receiving so and so patient, we have the bed, we have the right staff, so that they're also ready in receiving the patient in 5-10 minutes. The ambulance doesn't come there, then they start struggling to say, who is this patient, what's coming our way? So we are creating such a platform to ensure that these referrals are done in a very timely manner and in a coordinated fashion. We are looking at how do you also ensure that referrals from hard-to-reach communities are done. So we are looking at how do we bring in motorbike ambulances, how do you, get your vehicles, to go through tough terrain and also continue to be operational. We have positioned our ambulances in all the districts around this country so that at least our target is, if you're in the rural communities, out of an urban setting, if you call an ambulance, we should be able to respond 30 minutes and get you to the hospital. If you're in an urban setting, our response time, our target is 15 minutes, like Freetown. So I think with all of this, these are things that are going to come into this and plan, so that at least the referral system is enhanced and up to speed.
And you're certain that you'll be able to achieve this in 300 days?
Well, 300 days is an estimated time we put to be realistic, to ensure that we set the foundation for us to build on in the future. We know that building a system takes time, but you have to bring the mindset and the right attitude and the right investment within a short period of time to lay a strong foundation which you can continue building on. So all of what we are doing now is to, first of all, create a series of awareness at all levels so that people really understand that this is something that's unacceptable, and this is what the Ministry of Health intends to do. So if that sits in the minds of the people, the responses, the activism, it continues even beyond the 300 days.
It's not a maiden move. We've had similar campaigns in the past. How does this one differ from the others we've had, and what do you think it will achieve realistically? What do you think it will achieve?
Well, for us, it's a maiden move. In the Ministry of Health, we've never had such an announcement before, an activism to really address preventable maternal deaths. Okay. We're always talking about reducing maternal mortality. But this now is targeted against those deaths, at least, we consider that could be prevented. The ones we have no control over, we cannot. But the ones we can prevent, we have to do everything possible to prevent them, the maternal as well as the child deaths. So this is what we are trying to do. We want to achieve safe care and patient services for our mothers who go to our hospitals and deliver. And the children who are born should also have a safe time to grow in this world and become responsible citizens. And thirdly, there are women who are delivering in communities, at home, who are not in hospitals, and their kids are not vaccinated for simple diseases. And those kids might, end up having these illnesses, which can be prevented. We have close to 5,000 of them in this country. We have the vaccines available. So we are going out in those communities, take them out and get them all vaccinated.
A lot of the time, these plans look beautiful on paper. But monitoring is deficient. You know, a lot of the time government will tell you, oh no, we've hired the right people. But seeing its implementation is another ball game. How do you ensure that these things you've spoken about this morning will be properly implemented with strict evaluation eventually?
First of all, one of the tools we're going to be using to monitor this is the data.
Okay.
So we are deploying extensive data solutions, data systems to collect data. And the data we are collecting will be real time. I will be sitting in Freetown and understand what's going on in Falaba. I'll be sitting in Freetown and understand what's going on in Zimi or Pujong, right? So that data will inform me to understand, oh, the hotspots now I have are this and this district. I have to focus my interventions there and I have to monitor them properly. Over and above that, we are going to be doing weekly operational analysis and situation analysis. Okay. So situation rooms are going to be established in all of the districts to monitor the implementation of the activities. How many women are receiving antenatal care? How many pregnant women do you have in your district? How many of them are at risk of having a difficult delivery? Okay. Where can we place them if the delivery takes place? How ready are your facilities? What's your stock level? Do you have enough commodities? Do you have blood products? Are your staff ready? Do you have the right skill set to manage these cases? So on a weekly basis, you analyze, you monitor at the district level. So it's not done at the central level alone. We at the central level will be watching, but the district, the people who are close to the communities are going to own this and run with it.
All right, so let me come back to Commodore Coomber. I mean, we had talks about, you know, Juba bags being sold. That's quite topical at the moment. I mean, otherwise we would have actually led with it this morning, if not for the Eastern Development at Tienga there, you know. There were talks that the military had wanted to sell it to a certain, you know, foreigner and all of that. Please, can we have some clarification about this, please?
So that's not true. We want to make clarity on that. I will also want to refer our viewers and listeners to a press release that we sent out recently on the 23rd, where we informed the public that the Juba itself, the Juba move or the Juba transformation to Mashiaka is part of this national defense policy and strategy we were talking about. So these are all geared towards making the RSLAF operational or effective as we carry out our operations. So we want to have a modern RSLAF with personnel that have accommodation that is modern instead of what is at Juba. So to say we have even gone ahead and made any final plans for the sale, that has not happened. Rather, what has happened is, following the production of this defense policy and strategy, we are mandated in this document, this framework, to look after the welfare of our personnel. And one of the ways you can look after the welfare of your personnel is to make sure they are properly accommodated so that they can go to work, so that their families they leave behind can be in an accommodation, their health and well-being could be looked after. So that was the rationale behind this discussion. Purely looking at welfare and operational effectiveness. Or so many things that could achieve ripple effects. So the discussion on that day was trying merely to say that our president has launched this document, and this document will now help us achieve our welfare and then look after them. So the barracks, how we are going to do that is going to be a true public-private partnership. With this public-private partnership, we can now have, remember I talked about the private sector. We want to tap into the private sector. We want to have as much barracks as we can, but the RSLAF do not have the money. The government of Sierra Leone, currently we know priorities, there are so many things to prioritize from. So we have thought of a way to be able to cushion the burden from the government and then take them on, and hence we established this defense enterprise service. So the Juba barracks, again, to try to make some clarity on that, what we did was, we have couched this idea, we took it to our governing body, and our governing body is the Defense Council. So we took it to Defense Council to let them understand that we want to do this and we need initial permission. So what Defense Council did was, okay, this is a laudable idea. What you can do are the following. One, make sure you have all legal documents to allow you to do such a thing. That is, do the public-private partnership. Two, make sure you collaborate and cooperate with all line ministries, departments, and agencies, and even the civil sector. What will this achieve? This will make sure that the third thing they told us was transparency and accountability. In all of these, whatever we want to do, we let the public know, we bring the civil society on board. This will also include you, so that we make the process as open and transparent as possible, so that our viewers and the public will know that we are doing this. Mind you, this is a government of Sierra Leone property. We are only the custodian. We have to refer to the Ministry of Lands, for example. They have to determine which size we want. We have to tell them which areas we want to do this transformation for, and then they will tell us what is that. Additionally, if we want to know the cost of what we will transform, we have to go to the Ministry of Works. We do not have the expertise to value that piece of land. So there are so many things that some of our viewers and listeners have not considered because of the information, the misinformation that they have been getting.
Is this the reason why also people were driven from that place last year? The whole place was clear.
It's part of reclaiming, that exercise was part of reclaiming the few land that we have now. Mind you, this barracks was built in the 60s, early 60s. At that time when even, for example, the sanitation, toilets were done in buckets and thrown somewhere else. Today we don't have that system in our public health system. We don't have that. So that tells you that this place has at least its fitness to accommodate our personnel. That is the more reason, and on welfare grounds, we are trying to move to Mashaka, call it Kabbalah, Daru, and other barracks where whatever proceed or whatever arrangements that will be made for the Juba barracks, what we will get from that could be used to put structures at Mashaka, Bradford. We have so many places in mind, and we hope, because we know that place is a prime land, we can have a benefit. And let me just use this opportunity to also tell our listeners, this is not like an innovation. This is not we are the first person to do it. I'll give a case in point in the UK. Chelsea, where they have Chelsea now, it used to be a military barracks, but they sold it. When they sold it, so they see what is at Chelsea. You have a nice stadium, and meanwhile, that proceed from that, our viewers can research on that, they use that to build barracks in other locations. And today their armed forces is better catered for, they have modern accommodation. Also, there is if you go to the US, there are examples. So this is not a novelty. It's not like we are doing it for the first time. So others have been doing it.
So kind of what happens to the officers during the period when these other barracks would be in construction? What happens to them regarding accommodation?
So they will continue to stay in Juba until we complete arrangements, whichever public-private partnership option that will be chosen, until structures are built in Mashaka, call it Daru, or any other location, until the last person is accommodated into the new infrastructure before we can give up that place.
Coomber, something happened, I said, last night to this morning. I mean, the Honorable, Fala Tengbe, made a very discomforting, if you like, pronouncement that, the Guinean forces were also planning to, take over Sokoma. Please, can you clarify? Has it gotten to this point that you are being threatened now, every now and then?
The world we are living now, it's a small village. One thing can happen from one place, and then it affects miles away, these countries away, or in one country. What we are seeing here is, because it could be with maybe the security forces, because they have seen their colleagues acted in this way in one location, it has the propensity to affect their thinking. And probably they can be even making sarcastic statements, even though it might not be coming from their chain of command, from their hierarchy. But
do you think so?
It could be. I'm not sure, because the facts is what he got. What led to that assumption? I know that he's coming from that place. He has a lot of source of information. So, but all I would say at this time is that it's not official. It might just be somebody just saying something to threaten or make continue to exert pressure.
But in the meantime, in the midst of that threat, what do we do as a nation? Do we sit and wait
No.
or employ diplomacy? Because to be honest with you, if you ask someone else, they will tell you that diplomacy is failing at many levels. I mean, we've been talking about Yenga for decades now. You know, decades we've been discussing Yenga both at international and local level. Successive governments in Guinea have come and gone. That place is ours by the map if you check it, but they will tell you it's theirs. You know, and they are not really willing to leave it for us. That's the reality.
So it depends on how you argue it.
Okay.
For me, diplomacy is working. Why? Because it has not escalated beyond what we have today.
When can we get Yenga back? That's the question.
Is it ours?
We still lay claim to Yenga, and they lay claim as well. So if we cannot
Currently,
resolve
who is?
they are occupying it. So if we cannot,
So you see, we've been lost the battle, haven't we?
so if we cannot resolve it through this diplomacy, at some stage, definitely we will go. I'm sure we'll go to court. I don't want to speak for government. My level is still at a defense level.
Okay.
But my thinking, that's my personal assumption. My thinking is that diplomacy will succeed because it has succeeded in many situations around the world. We don't want to result into war fighting. I think, again, back to the Honorable Member of Parliament, definitely these are in our fact-finding and putting our own case together or putting our ideas together to approach them. These are issues we'll reference and then discuss with them so that it does not escalate.
Colonel, what if all these diplomatic moves, what if they all fail at the end of the day?
So
what happens?
my rank is Air Commodore. I'm a little over. I'm a step over Colonel.
Oh, okay.
Just to clarify to
Thanks for
Air
educating
Commodore.
me.
So you were saying?
I'm saying, what if all of these diplomatic moves fail? What happens? Are we, from the Sierra Leonean flank, are we actually pushing for diplomacy in this particular issue because we lack what it takes to actually stand up to the Guinean forces?
As somebody from defense and security, I still think it will work.
What if it doesn't?
Somebody from foreign affairs and diplomatic should be in a better position to tell you that. But my engagements with them, we have had our estimation, our assumption, and our hope is that diplomacy will work because it has been working. It has been keeping. With all the assumption you see in the social media, people will think that it will have gone worse than this. If you look at what they are saying, oh, they have might than us, they have this, they have that. If that has been the case, and if they were looking to escalate this thing, it will have gone worse than this.
In your estimation, do you think diplomacy has worked with the Yenga issue?
I think yes, because
but they're occupying Yenga as we speak.
It has not worked to achieve them moving out and we going in at the moment, but it can work. Initially,
weren't we the ones occupying Yenga?
So we have not been occupying Yenga for a very long time.
For how long?
Even during the war. So during the war, we were, if you could recall, that Yenga and many other areas up to even Kailan at some stage, coming down to our forward position was at Pendembo, which are several miles away from Yenga. So during that time, and we were having problem with the rebels, RUF rebels. So our government, our president at that time, and their president had an understanding that let them position in that location and be a blocking force. So before the war, we were occupying Yenga. But because we asked them to come and occupy, and we had not been there for a very long time, imagine all throughout the 10 years war, and even after that, we have been trying to resolve it. They have been there. So that's why they still continue to reclaim on it.
What assurance would you give Sierra Leoneans today who are left, well, some are speculating, some are in panic, you know. It's all over. This is the hottest topic at the moment. What assurance can you give Sierra Leoneans regarding their territorial integrity at the moment?
I want to assure Sierra Leoneans that our territorial integrity will remain intact. We will do everything possible to have it. That is why the Constitution mandates the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces to make sure we protect our territorial integrity. Of course, we will use the whole government approach to make that happen. Whatever infractions we are having now, we are taking note of them, and then we are engaging Guinea, the government and people of Guinea, to see how we can resolve those infractions. Mind you, on those borderlines, we have the same ethnic groups, the same tribes living in those areas. And because they are living in the same area, they are the same people. If you take any problem there now, if there had been an escalation, closure of border, it will affect the lives of those people. Today, they don't have a problem. They still continue to move, even though we have these infractions. And then it's helping them. These places, if take for example, Falaba, it's far away from Freetown and even Kabbalah or Makeni. Getting resources, they rely on closer areas in Guinea that they can access to get some of their livelihoods.
Is seeking international remedies an option?
Yes, it is. It is.
At what stage do we get there?
So I think it's ongoing. It's concurrent. I'm not sure of the details. You can get that from our Foreign Affairs Ministry. But the Mano River Union, the ECOWAS, the AU, and UN, the courts are all options that can be explored.
Do you think we will ever get Yenga back as a country? Should we be hopeful?
That's our hope. That's our hope. And we'll continue to work towards that.
Doctor, what are the next steps for this project?
Well, thank you very much. I must say it's not a project per se. It's in line with what we do, but we are scaling up our activities through our reproductive and child health services and community engagements. So the first step is, first of all, to do awareness raising so that people are aware that this is coming. That's why we're here, talking to the populace, talking to the public that we need your support in this activity, because without you, it's not going to work. And this is going to continue right throughout. And then we're going to have launching of this, campaign, this 300 Days Activism, on the 2nd of March, which is Monday. The campaign really starts on the 1st of March, but since the 1st of March is on Sunday, so we're going to do it a nationwide launching. We're going to do it at all levels. We will be doing one at Freetown, and all the districts will be doing theirs simultaneously. So the same day, the same time, we'll launch this so that it's known, everybody's aware. And in the launching, it's not only the Ministry of Health doing this. Like I said, this is a multi-sectorial approach we're using and community approach to make sure that this is entrenched in our system. So the stakeholders, the local councils, the community leaders are all going to be part of this effort whilst they're launched. And afterwards, there is a fact sheet, there is a template of activities we want to roll out in all districts in this country at the same time. Then when we roll out these activities based on antenatal care, based on service delivery, based on referral system readiness, based on the community support and vaccination drives, we are going to be monitoring them now on a quarterly basis, so that at least we have reports coming in, and we're going to have a midterm review of what we're doing. At that midterm review, we'll look everything. Are we doing the right thing? If not, we course correct and change our course, so that by the end of the 300 days, we'll have achieved at least our set targets. So there are a series of activities. I don't want to, because these are more technical, I don't want to bore you with that, but there are a series of activities geared towards ensuring that every woman who has a pregnancy has a safe experience when they come with our health facilities. And any child born in this country is also have the access to live, as long as it's something we can do to prevent unforeseen circumstances.
Just so we understand correctly, this is totally free?
Of course. Maternal care in this country is free, and under 5 care is also free. So it's going to continue throughout to ensure. We are going to also monitor that these services are done free. And what we need from the public, this is where the public comes in. If you go somewhere, somebody charges you for something, let us know. We're going to have some.
How do you know this?
We're going to send out some numbers through the media, so that people have a hotline to call and say, I went to this facility and I was charged. And I was charged by the nurse who was on duty at 2 o'clock in this facility. Just be specific. they will go after the people and make sure that this is not
So
done.
one of the challenges that pregnant women have been facing over the years with the free healthcare system is that sometimes they go to the hospital knowing it's free, and there are no medicines. What are you doing to ensure that this changes? At least people, these clinics, especially these very isolated clinics in these very small communities and sometimes these slum communities, to ensure that they always have medicines to give to these people when they get there.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
That's a very good point, and it's one of the issues why we're doing this. We've identified that that is a huge gap. So during this 300 days activism, we want to ensure that we have the right stock at all levels, right? So we'll be monitoring, we'll be supplying the facilities, we'll get some resources, we're mobilizing funds, we're doing some procurement to get the right drugs at the right time for the people to get. What we can offer as a free services, we can explain to the public that this is the package that you're going to get when you come to my facility, and these are free, right? And you should get them. If you don't get them, you have to report to us so that we take the right action. But this is one of the reasons why we are doing this, so that we get the right stock level, we get the right things in the facility, so that if somebody comes and they need drug, they don't need to leave the facility now and start looking helter-skelter to find a drug that's needed to save that life.
You know, we have these local community women. I think they're called granny. They call them grannies, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And somehow I think they've incorporated them into the health system. I don't know how it happened.
You mean the traditional bath
yes,
attendants?
these traditional
Okay.
bath attendants. How do they come in?
Well, for us, what we are saying is that we want all deliveries to be done in this country by a skilled bath attendant, somebody who's trained and is certified to do that. So we're encouraging all deliveries to be done in health facilities.
So are they considered skilled?
We have not given them the skills to be up to that speed. We can encourage them to monitor the patients when they are doing pregnancy and bring them to the facilities. They can be there whilst the delivery are being conducted. But if you do it that way, that means they'll be doing it at home. And the danger with that is when the child gets stuck, then they start fighting out, putting it in an ambulance. By the time they get to the hospital, the child might be dead and the life of the mother is also at risk. So the risk there is too huge for us to take. That's why we're saying bring them to the facilities. We assure you that when you come, we'll take care of you. We are ready to take care of you through the pregnancies for you to have safe deliveries.
So what are you doing to prevent corruption and leakages in the procurement of medical equipment and other stuff during this?
Well, if that's also been considered as a challenge to access to healthcare. So these are one of the things we're really going to monitor. We're going to monitor processes. We're going to make sure that we bring in other agencies that their responsibility is to manage these kind of things, because we are in the health sector, we can do our bit, but there are other agencies that are given the mandate to address this. So we'll bring them on board and work with them to ensure that these practices are ameliorated.
And we would like to dismiss Commodore Coomber, but before we do, there are several messages on our Facebook page. This stick is saying the situation at Tienda and Falaba reflects a larger problem we continue to face at our border crossing points. Without proper and clear enforced border demarcation, Guinean personnel continue to intrude into our land with impunity. Despite several diplomatic efforts, the issue persists. It is high time that the government takes tougher and more decisive measures to protect our territorial integrity and ensure lasting solution. As a nation, we made the first mistake to allow the current Guinean president to enter Sierra Leone with heavy armed military personnel and weapons. It projected weakness and may have emboldened him to believe that Sierra Leone can be taken advantage of. Strong safeguards and clear boundaries are necessary to protect national sovereignty and prevent such perceptions in the future. Digitization is key in our health sector, especially in terms of referral cases. Just that my biggest fear is a lack of monitoring, which has been the major factor affecting our health sector. Most of our health workers are not committed because they didn't have proper monitoring and supervision system. I'm not sure that's And in Maligi, the first thing us as soldiers do before entering a building is to take our covers off. Otherwise, someone will yell at us, be the first sergeant or an officer. Air Commodore, from the GPS bearing from the Guinean authorities, when plotted, it shows that those 16 officers were arrested in the Guinean territory. But from our own side, there is nothing from our defense ministry to counter or substantiate to the fact. What is the reason, sir? After reviving our military personnel, what are the consequences the Guinean military will face with? Colonel, do you know that this is from Swissman, do you know that the Guinean president and his military are testing the military might of Sierra Leone? And do you know that Guineans are trying to take over our land deliberately because of our leniency? They think that we are not fiscally fit to resist them. Do you think no action has been taken, that they are going to continue their aggression? A lot of messages actually. This one is saying the citizens of Sierra Leone are really not safe from foreign aggression. When I watch the videos where the SL armies say the situation escalated, they will just leave and go. They allowed themselves to be captured like, well, no, that's too obscene. The military man is saying that why would they want to go into war? But please ask him why they have been using force against unarmed civilians opposing government policies. Going to war with Guinea is not the way, but we have to use an international channel to resolve this prolonged land dispute. Our local diplomatic efforts have failed and keep failing. Why is this government not using diplomacy instead of force to solve issues against opposition voices? But when it comes to protecting your sovereignty against Guinea, you're everywhere shouting diplomacy, diplomacy. I mean, Air Commodore, I mean, just so that you don't go off track, you can respond to these ones. There's so many of them actually.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That tells you the concern people, our viewers have. That is why you get more response. And that is the more reason why we have to be very careful how we resolve issues like this. Once you have diverse views, we have to listen to those views and then find the thin line where we can tread carefully and then resolve this issue. But definitely, as you are saying, some of them are saying, yes, the border incidents, we have been having infractions. So someone will say, oh, because this is happening now, then it means we have to raise our alertness. That's the best we can do. The Honorable Member of Parliament has raised a very vital point, and we are looking at that. So in terms of what we can do, it's about now understanding the situation and what we can do. What we can do, alertness, raise our profile, make sure we continue to give confidence to our people, especially those that are living in those border areas where lives, their livelihood is very important. They have to survive. Then we also, somebody was talking about a president traveling with guns into another country. I will encourage my listeners to research. We have some presidents, when they are traveling, it's not only a Amoka, they travel with aircraft, jets, that we go to another country with and go with their entire security. This is not the first time to happen around the world. So I think we must not make an issue out of it. We must learn from it. Most times when these things happen, the first thing you have to do is learn from it. Okay, it has happened. How can we stop it from happening? Do we have to allow it to continue? Those are the issues I think we have to look at. Testing the might, it could not be that. It could just be if it had been in Sierra Leone, somebody come and erect a flag. Our reaction could not have been the same as theirs, but you'll have to react. So if they are, and then interestingly, let me put this in context again. You have your children. There is a misunderstanding between the two of them. Definitely, each of them will come and tell you, oh, Daddy, this is what the other did to me. This is what. So you have these claims and counterclaims. That is the more reason why we have sent the fact-finding team, even though we had challenge with that. But incidents like this, you gather your facts, and now you go and discuss before the parent to say, this was the issue, and this is what we did, and we think this is the way forward. So diplomacy, again, as some of the viewers said, is the best way forward. It's not like we are cowardice, no. We think we are professional. We have the training and requisites to be able to defend this country to the best of our ability. I would just want to encourage or admonish or talk to our viewers, the diverse views, that all their views we do consider daily. We look at them. We have teams looking at all these social media posts so that we are able to address them in the best way, in the interest of those who are now captured and in the interest of those who sit in that border locations, in the interest of the government and people of Sierra Leone.
Just to last follow-up on this, I mean, someone talked about the press release from the Guinean side that explicitly geographically defined, you know, their demarcation and all of that, but we didn't say anything in our
again, I would like to tell our listeners and viewers that their press release is coming from the security and defense point of view.
Okay.
So the content of that, you see what it wants to address. The man they want to show that we are postured for anything.
Okay.
Whilst ours is saying, yes, we are postured, but we want to resolve this issue. So that is the difference. So understanding the content of that, two press releases, we will know at our level, the level at which we have brought ours, it's a matter of telling the people what is happening and what we're doing about it, which is very, very important, assuring our people. Instead of trying to be confrontational to say, oh, if we start going back fighting on what we want to achieve, rather than going down to making explanation at this time, this is not the right forum to put.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doctor, someone talked about digitization of the health sector and lack of monitoring in the comments.
Yes, thank you very much. That's a very good point. Recently, the Ministry of Health launched the Health Information Hub, which is a hub located around Brookfields area, King Herman Road. And this is a place where at least we are collecting all the data from the country, displaying them on huge dashboards. We're looking at data from hospitals, health security, referral systems, supply chain, and everything. So on a daily basis, we have real-time data to know the status of our health sector. It's important that now is cascaded right throughout. And through that, we're able to monitor on real time what is happening. So that is a very strong monitoring tool we're going to use to give us the indicators as to where we need to focus our investment, where we need to focus more and give more supervision. Apart from that, there are also peer mentors through this initiative, which we are going to be sending out to facilities to mentor and supervise junior staff in the district hospitals so that at least they are doing the right thing and making sure that they are adhering to the standard operating procedures and guidelines prescribed by the Ministry of Health. So the HR component, the human resource management, is also very key in this. We also have reports that people are not going to work. We have reports that there are people who are not supposed to be on the payroll. So we're going to do verification. We're going to have a robust human resource management plan right throughout this process. So it's like using maternal health, but definitely in maternal health itself, all of these things have to be addressed before we have zero preventable maternal deaths.
Right. We would have to excuse Commodore Coomber. Thank you so much for being on the program. We really appreciate, and you've laid clarity to most of the, troubling questions a lot of people had. Just hope and pray that this situation is solved amicably soon. Although it's doubtful, given the protraction, if you like.
We look forward to that, and we'll continue to keep our viewers and through you and other means informed about what is happening.
All right, we're going for a short break. We shall be back.
There for visit family na some partner upline pass you the tinkam. If not a good agriculture product na the city out there for bringa. From Banda Juma to Liberia border na bridges them able for Lincoln side where you been the take ages for reach now you yourself the wincam. Ambulance they respond quick. Situation they on top. Transport then they do more tea. Let we go. Artists then they go on tour. Can be an hour in offer. Trader they know they suffer. Let we talk see where the road they offer. Now while they reach the border, I know the border. The road we travel.
heart of Sierra Leone's dynamic rhythm, Rocal Commercial Bank is your beat to a brighter financial future. We're not just a bank, but we're your financial partner committed to your success. We've got the financial tools you need to rise higher. Our team is here to serve you with speed and a smile because your time matters to us. So, are you ready to unlock financial prosperity? Highlighting key banking services such as Keke loans, Coomber account, fixed deposits, SME loans, internet and corporate banking, from savings that grow your dreams to loans that fuel your ambitions. Demonstrating fast and friendly customer service. Showcasing cutting-edge banking technology and ATMs. Access your money anytime, anywhere with our state-of-the-art technology and a network of ATMs. Our Rocal SIM Copper app puts banking in your hands, where you can pay for EDSA, Afri Money, Orange Money, and pay bills including school fees and make transfers to other bank accounts. Remember, you can also experience Rocal e-banking today. Then join us now. Visit any of our branches or explore our website. Rocal Commercial Bank, your bank of choice.
We still have Dr. Mustafa Kaba in the studio with us this morning. Doctor, I wanted to ask, before we went for that short break, you talked about, storing data right through this process. What will we be doing with this data eventually?
Well, the data is very key and important to inform our decisions and our actions.
Okay.
And also to help us know where we should invest rightly. If I get data, for example, that there is a red hotspot in Tonkolili, for example, maternal deaths are occurring there. So I have to put in a lot of more investment in Tonkolili than I usually do. And I might possibly scale down on my investment in those areas that are doing relatively well. So you have to manage your resources, both human, both financial, and supplies, to address the emerging problems. That's why data is key, because it really guides you where to invest rightly and reduce shortages. And currently with all the issues around the reduction of global financing in health sector, you really have to be smart as to what tools do you have available to guide where you spend your money. So this is why data is very key. And you own your own data. This data you're collecting now, it's like a system we're developing that this data is owned by Sierra Leone. Data sovereignty is key, because sometimes people have our data and you don't know what they're doing with it. And data is a very huge resource currently. So have our data, we'll use it for implementation, it will guide our policies, it will guide our operations, it will also help us to track our health indicators we've set out for ourselves on a regular basis, real time. What we used to have was, before this time, we'll do surveys. Like every 2-3 years, we'll do a survey, 5 years, we'll do a survey and say, this is the maternal mortality we have in our country. But that's changing now, because that data is outdated. It's a 5 years old data. It cannot be used now to implement anything because it's old. You get it? But you're still using it to implement. But the challenges are different. The situation has changed 5 years ago. So with this kind of data collection system, where you have in real-time data, you're able to understand the issues that are emerging, and you're addressing them and taking the right actions based on the data you're having.
Lastly, perhaps we should discuss, I know each program has expectations, What goals do you hope to fulfill with this program?
First of all, one of the main things is, I mentioned, the pregnancy. When a woman is in pregnancy, her experience should be a happy one, especially when they come in contact with the health sector. They should go through that time with us in a happy way with their families, have a safe delivery, and go back home. So that is very important to us. For that to happen, most of the things I explained earlier have to take place. Then secondly, the confidence of the public in the uptake of our services after having gone through this will definitely go up. So it's a big goal for us to ensure that the people come to our public sector hospitals, have the confidence that we can provide for them correctly and take care of their needs and let them go back. We also hope that doing this, nobody should have a medical condition and have undue financial hardship because of it. The government, the Ministry of Health, especially when you're delivering or you have a child, you should not go into financial hardship because of these kind of conditions. These are good things that are happening to the country. The country needs a vital population. We need a young, energetic population that's coming up, and the women do not need to die through this. So it's something that's really paramount to us to really maintain and ensure that we have our women having safe deliveries and we have the children thriving. Issues like malnutrition, people not having the right nutrition when they are kids, these are all things we are looking at addressing through this initiative.
All right. Well, Doctor, I can only thank you very much indeed for being here. And I hope this program succeeds, though. It's quite a laudable one. I know, since 2018, we've been trying as hard as possible to bring down the statistics of maternal mortality in Sierra Leone. And this, I'm sure, could help greatly, to achieving that. Thank you so much, Dr. Mustafa Kabar, for being part of, Wake Up Sierra Leone today.
Thank you.
Wish you well with the program, though.
Thank you for having me. It has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Indeed. We're running off this session now.